Hey gang, in this episode, I wanted to answer a question that keeps on coming up in a lot of my communications with clients and with prospective clients around our educational platform, the Brand Sprint Academy, which is where we teach creative professionals how to sell, run, and deliver strategy sprints right across a business's life cycle. And the question that keeps coming up is, well, I'm not a creative professional because I'm not creative. Can I still do this? And I just want to address that in this episode because let's get one thing clear. Yes, you are absolutely creative, whether you've got a background in design or not. This is the Simpligy Show with Bruce White, the podcast for business leaders and strategists to get the best practical advice on a deeper but more efficient approach to brand and business strategy right across a business's life cycle, because you can always add more value. Let's get into it. So creativity is not a mental state. It's not a talent. Creativity is a process. That means that it's not some nebulous gift that you have to be born with, but it can be grown, it can be developed, and it can be nurtured over time with effort. I know there are those people that just sit down at 3 years old and put a pen in their hand and they start drawing or something and everyone says they're creative. Absolutely, they're creative. But really, what you're seeing is their ability to express their creativity more so than them being more creative than anyone else. We are all creative. The creative process basically includes generating and selecting ideas and concepts using our intellect, using our curiosity, using our ambition, and essentially persistence. All of us do this. In fact, we are constantly processing decisions and ideas around possible scenarios and outcomes, right? This is just part of normal life. You are always processing decisions and coming up with new ideas on how to improve things just in day-to-day life, right? It's just the way we live. We will say, quote unquote, create solutions, and we develop understanding in every aspect of our life subconsciously. And that's a really important word here. The subconscious is the power behind this, okay? So we're talking things like career, relationships, environment, all of that, right? Every waking moment, and even in our dreams, which comes back to our subconscious mind, right? So creativity is a natural part of life. It's just a part of who we are as human beings. So with that being said, how do you develop it? The first thing you want to do is start keeping an eye out, like really pay attention for your own creativity in that day-to-day life. What do you understand without any effort whatsoever that perhaps other people might not? So what do people ask you questions about because they understand that you have this inherent understanding of it that they just can't grasp, okay? That's your creativity at work, that understanding that it has delivered to your mind that's come from the subconscious is a part of your creativity. So start looking at what is obvious to you that others are missing, that others just maybe don't get, right? So that's where you can start to find your creativity. Maybe you're not writing bestsellers, or maybe you're not producing movies, or maybe you are, who knows, right? But everything that you see and everything that you imagine is your creativity doing the work. And I really want to lean on the importance of that conscious mind versus subconscious mind. These two will often work in opposition to each other. So first of all, the subconscious mind, I did an episode about this recently called Get Your Brain Out of the Way in order to really grow your business. But this is equally important in our personal development, in just our sense of self, in our ability to be our best us. We have to understand that the subconscious mind absolutely cannot possibly lead you in the wrong direction. Your subconscious mind, or actually let me put a definition on that. It cannot deliberately lead you in the wrong direction. Your subconscious mind will always, for want of a better term, will always have your best interests at heart. And heart is another way to think of this. If you listen to that previous episode, or even just here, we're talking the head thinking versus the heart thinking. This is conscious mind versus intuition, or conscious mind versus subconscious. It's the subconscious that's generating your creativity, okay? So when I mentioned before the conscious mind and the subconscious mind can often be in opposition, it's because the conscious mind is constantly being affected by outside influence. So that could be your cultural how you behave culturally is not a blame or a not blame situation. You can't help the culture you were raised in, and that will have gone a long way to developing you into who you are. Obviously, if that culture is based in something evil, maybe you were raised in a cult or something like that, well, now you have to employ your conscious mind and ask it to help your subconscious mind make the changes to your cultural psyche so that you can not be evil, right? But for the most part, we are products of the culture that we're raised in, and that is neither a positive nor a negative. It just is, okay? So culture is one of those outside influences that is affecting your conscious mind at all times. The media is another one of those outside influences. Comparison, imposter syndrome is a huge outside influence that is going to be impacting you, and this is especially in a business sense. It's going to be impacting your ability to move forward in a positive direction. It's because those outside influences are directly affecting the results, the solutions to the problems that your conscious mind is giving you. And at that point, it doesn't have your best interest at heart. At that point, it's just your conscious mind saying, hey, we saw this, looked cool, let's do that, right? Or, hey, that sucked over there, let's do that. So, first of all, you need to get your conscious mind out the way so that your subconscious mind can do the work. Now, there are ways of programming your subconscious mind to make sure that you are being your absolute best self, but that's a much bigger conversation. If you ever want to discuss that with me, please don't be afraid to DM me. I'd love to jump on Zoom and just have a chat, right? But for now, just think of getting your conscious mind out the way. So how do you do that? Well, you can meditate. Meditation is a very high impact way of getting your conscious mind out the way. But why does that work? And what does that offer us as potentially a simpler solution than finding a guided meditation? The reason it works is because you're putting something else in your brain. It could be the chant. It could be the om. It could be the whatever the meditation is telling you to do consciously, which is tying up all of those synapses, all of that conscious mind. It's tying them up with something else. Essentially, it's giving that 5-year-old child a box of Lego bricks or something to go and play with in the corner so the adults can get the work done, right? So all you're doing, whether it be through meditation or whether it be through deliberately thinking about something banal, deliberately thinking about something that's completely ineffectual, getting that conscious mind out of the way is what's going to allow your subconscious mind to do the work. And believe me, the subconscious mind knows the questions you're asking. You don't have to sit down and say, okay, here's what I want to do now. If you think about the creative process is we ingest as much information as we possibly can on the subject, right? We do our research, we do our reading, we do our, in some case, experimentation, we do our ideation, iteration, etc. And then for the creative process to work, we need to put it all aside. And it's when we put it all aside that the subconscious mind, the creative mind, kicks into gear, gives us those answers. For me, it usually happens about 3 a.m. I'll have something that, some people might describe as a dream. It's not a dream. It's the fact that the conscious mind is out the way. The subconscious mind has been allowed to do the work, and it's come up with a solution. Here's the solution. If you're like me and it happens to you in the middle of the night, it's sort of 2 or 3 places for me. It's the middle of the night. It's when I'm riding my mountain bike on an uphill climb, something that's really physically quite challenging, but not mentally challenging at all. Obviously, I don't want the subconscious taking over when I'm coming down a mountain on my bike, because mentally I need to be switched on at that point. It's driving a car. I'm now 50 years old. I've been driving since I was 16. Driving a car is not difficult. It's not something that I need to consciously focus on all of the little bits and pieces. Of course, I want to consciously focus on my environment. The environment is always changing, and people don't do enough of that when driving a car. They don't take it as seriously as it needs to be taken. But certainly the subconscious mind has a lot more time to do its thing whilst I'm driving, because there are a series of conscious decisions taking up my conscious mind that aren't really that difficult. They're just, okay, if that car continues going at that speed and I keep going at this speed, we're going to crash. I will therefore alter my speed. That's not a hard decision to make, right? but it lets the conscious mind have something to do. When I'm riding that bike up the hill, it's, you know what, this is getting really hard. I need to keep this pedal cadence the same, even though the incline is about to change. What do I need to do? Well, I need to shift down a gear. All of those really simple conscious decisions are occupying the conscious mind and allowing the subconscious mind to do its thing. So essentially, all I want you to take from this, I don't necessarily need this to be a deep program your subconscious mind conversation. All I want you to take from this is, first of all, yes, you are creative. Don't listen to anyone that says, just because you didn't sit down with a pen at 3 or 2 years old and start sketching the Mona Lisa or the Sistine Chapel or whatever, that you're not creative. Don't let anyone say that because you're not a writer, you're not creative. Don't let anyone say that because you're not a web designer or whatever. We're all creative. And we can all use that in our professional lives if we want to be creative professionals. I personally am not a designer. I did do some design work. I did do some design training, some 3D animation and character design training. And to be perfectly honest, I sucked at it. I was really bad. Fortunately, I have a really good background in language, so I was able to turn copywriting into a career before I became a strategist. In 2008 when I made the pivot into my own agency. But I was, for a period of a good 5 years, I was the agency principal, the leader of a design agency with no design chops whatsoever. So don't let people within the creative fields tell you that you're not creative just because you aspire towards a position within what's commonly referred to as the quote-unquote creative industry. We're all creative. If the industry excites you, that is your subconscious mind telling you something that you need to follow through on. There may very well be a position for you in one of these industries in what I consider to be a much, much more valuable position as a strategist, as a thinker, as a person who has the ability to take ideas, to form ideas, to flesh out ideas, and to take a client's problems and provide the solutions. Where it gets really exciting, where you move out of that I'm solving clients' problems for money and you move into massive value add, is I'm identifying clients' problems with them so we can then help them move on to the right solutions that will then benefit their business and give them the growth they're looking for. And that's when you start talking strategic thinking, which again is a creative process. So to wrap it up, this is for the overthinkers. This is for the analytical personalities. This is for the people who have a real draw, a passion for creativity or the creative industry, but you don't necessarily have that quote-unquote creative talent that culturally and environmentally you've been being told for decades you need to have in order to be a success in this industry. It's not true. Don't believe it. You are creative. You just need to learn how to harness that creativity. And believe me, if you can do these simple tricks, if you can occupy your conscious mind and let your subconscious mind do its thing, your level of creativity is going to be far and away higher than those with the quote-unquote creative talent that haven't learned to harness this. Okay, so that's it for this one. I just wanted to pass that on because again, I was very successful at the head of an agency that was based at the time purely in design, and I am not a designer. There are opportunities for you. In fact, when we pivoted into a brand strategy consultancy, all of the work that I've been doing at the head of that brand strategy, at the head of that design agency prepared me because I had been a strategist. I had been the creative thinker at the head of the agency. I was the one providing the most value to our clients, even though they were coming to us for design. That was part of the reason behind our pivot. That was part of the reason we turned into a strategy consultancy, is because that's where my passion is. It's uncovering those problems before providing the solutions. It's uncovering those opportunities. It's giving clients clarity. It's giving clients confidence, all the stuff that a deliverable will never do for them. Okay, so that's it for this one. Yes, you are creative. Work on getting your conscious mind out of the way. Focus on that subconscious mind and let it give you the answers that you are looking for. This is the Simpligy Show with Bruce White, the podcast for business leaders and strategists to get the best practical advice on a deeper but more efficient approach to brand and business strategy right across a business's life cycle, because you can always add more value.